This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform that allows you to build a beautiful, easy-to-use website to reach your customers, sell your products, create content, and so much more. Thanks to Squarespace for supporting this channel. This is Russell Westbrook. In the 2017-2018 season, he won the league MVP with the Oklahoma City Thunder. That year, he averaged a triple-double throughout the entire season. And then a year later, he did it again, and then screw it, one more time after that. This is Russell Westbrook. He barely resembles the player that won MVP and rivaled the greats of NBA history. So how did Russell Westbrook go from MVP to punchline? Let's find out right after this. Who is Russell Westbrook? A native of Long Beach, California, Westbrook was just 5'8" when he entered high school. He didn't start for his high school varsity's team until he was a junior and then sprouted up to 6'2" as a senior. His 25 points per game caught the eye of scouts from UCLA, who saw him as a fit replacement for Jordan Farmar. In both of his seasons in Westwood, the Bruins advanced to the Final Four. It took an injury to teammate Darren Collison for Westbrook to fully realize his potential as a point guard, where he learned to run the offense and facilitate to fellow star Kevin Love. UCLA's Final Four loss to Memphis was his final college game, and he was the best Bruin out on the court, scoring an efficient 22 points and nailing 2 of his 3 shots from deep. It was a far cry from how he had started the tournament, shooting a combined 8 of 32 in UCLA's first 3 wins. For the young guard, there were high highs, but also some low lows. Get used to that. Thanks in part to how he finished, Westbrook's stock as an NBA prospect took a huge bump. NBA scouts saw him as an elite defender with offensive upside, and he became the 4th overall pick of the Seattle Supersonics, who 6 days after the draft moved to Oklahoma City and officially became the Thunder. And so, it began. The big 3, 2, 1. In 2016, Russell Westbrook was all alone in Oklahoma City. 4 years earlier, the team had traded away James Harden, who hit the ground running and became an offensive force and a superstar in Houston. After blowing a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals against the Warriors, Kevin Durant pulled the unthinkable. At their peak, OKC's Big Three were a spectacular crew of 3 future superstars. Despite their inexperience, the trio of Durant, Harden, and Westbrook advanced to the 2012 Finals, where they ambushed the Miami Heat's Big Three and stole a Game 1 victory at home. In that shocking series opener, Westbrook dropped 27 points, 8 boards, and 11 assists. Unfortunately, that was the only win they'd get. The older, more seasoned triumvirate of LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh powered the Heat to 4 straight wins. Despite the collapse from his team, Westbrook was steady, at times heroic. In a 6-point loss in Game 4, Agent Zero took control of the offense and scored 43 points on 20 of 32 shooting, adding 7 assists and 5 rebounds in the heartbreaking loss. With the Thunder on the brink of elimination, however, Westbrook fell apart. In the decisive Game 5, he took 20 shots from the field, hitting on just 4 and going 0 for 5 from deep. Much like the 2008 NCAA tournament, the 2012 NBA Finals showed that Russell Westbrook was a star with a Jekyll and Hyde disposition. He could be the catalyst to victory, but he could also shoot you right out of a game. It felt impossible for a team that young and that immensely talented, but the Thunder never returned to the finals. Left to his own devices, Westbrook commandeered the team, taking a backseat to absolutely no one. Seeing Durant's exit as a double cross, Westbrook's rage had been ignited and he set fire to the league, at least in the box score. There's only one comparison for Westbrook's 2017 MVP season when he averaged a triple-double. It's Oscar Robertson, who in 1962 averaged 31, 12, and 11 for the Cincinnati Royals. When you compare those 2 seasons, it's evident that Robertson was a slightly more efficient scorer than Westbrook, and Mr. Triple-Double had him beat in rebounds and assists per game. But that was mostly a result of playing additional minutes. When you look at their numbers on a per 36-minute basis, Westbrook outperformed Robinson, pretty significantly in fact. Despite the statistical accomplishment, Westbrook was panned for padding his box score at the detriment of the Thunder. Learned NBA minds will tell you that you probably don't want your point guard grabbing too many boards because it halts the natural flow of a fast break. Westbrook was also criticized for stealing rebounds from teammates for the sake of his own accolades. His massive rebound totals were a product of Steven Adams' ability to block out his man, clearing the path for Westbrook to grab the board and notch some triple-doubles. He also attempted a league-high 1,941 shots from the field, 370 more than anyone else in the NBA, but shot under 30% from three and just 42% overall, which was 100th in the league. He put up a crazy 5.5 turnovers per game, 468 total, good for second most in the league behind his former teammate, James Harden. Essentially, he was involved in almost every play for the Thunder. It led to outrageous stat lines, but whether or not Westbrook's aggressive involvement served the Thunder well is up for debate. We know this, it never led to playoff glory, but Westbrook's statistical milestones were impossible to ignore. After winning MVP in 2017, Westbrook averaged a triple-double the next 2 seasons before he was finally shipped to Houston in 2019, reuniting him with Harden. Joining a more balanced team with the defined leader, Westbrook's assists and rebounds dipped. His percentage on 2-point shots jumped up, but his 3-point effectiveness took a nosedive. In 2019, Westbrook shot just 26% from downtown. It was the unmistakable sign of a decline in progress. But it was about to get much worse. Westbrook.
I can no longer allow people, for example, Westbrook to me is now shaming. Like, it's shaming my name, it's my legacy for my kids. It's a name that means more, not just to me, but to my wife, to my mom, my dad.
It's the late 2022 season, and Russell Westbrook has become the popular scapegoat for a Lakers team that finished 33-49. Though the Lakers had a lot of issues, it's very easy to target Westbrook. So let's do that for convenience sake. MVP Westbrook at his peak was shooting over 10 free throws per game and hitting close to 85%. In 2022, Westbrook was getting to the line just over 5 times a game and only knocking down 2/3 of his free throws. Bad totals and bad efficiency for a point guard with an attacking nature. There's an interesting theory as to why his free throw shooting began to suffer starting in 2018. Prior to that season, since high school in fact, Westbrook would stroll down to half court before every free throw as part of his routine. Rule changes meant to speed up the game prohibited free throw shooters from walking past the 3-point line in between attempts. Westbrook's routine became truncated, and his shooting from the charity stripe may have suffered as a result. In fact, shooting in general became an adventure for Westbrook, and there are a few speculations as to why he transformed into Hyde. Or is it Jekyll? I think it's Hyde. His field goal percentage went down because his athleticism began to wane after hitting age 30, and he stopped being able to dunk the ball whenever he wanted. He suffered injuries to his knees that have caused him to miss games and break rhythm as a shooter. There's speculation that because Russell Westbrook has added too much muscle in recent years, it's restricted his shooting form. Speaking of his shooting form, it's never been all that good to begin with. Westbrook releases the ball late and shoots in segmented motions instead of one clean motion. Pairing Russell Westbrook with LeBron James may have been a grave mistake and forced Westbrook into a catch-and-shoot role he was never suited for. His home crowd in Los Angeles, a fan base that never really wanted him, began turning against him, likely compounding mistakes and causing him to press.
Westbrook for the mid. Oh my God.
Wow. Air bank.
It's not just shooting though. If it was, he would still have value on the court. But the player once touted as an elite defender is now a liability. Combine bad shooting with bad defense and, oh yeah, some absolutely hilarious mind-boggling turnovers, you have the perfect cocktail for a historically steep decline. Westbrook was benched multiple times in LA. He was booed at the fittingly named Crypto.com arena and went through a post-All-Star stretch where he shot under 10% from 3. There's of course another factor in Westbrook's devolution from MVP to punchline, and it's simple. He joined the Lakers. Westbrook's decline really started in 2018, but it's not as much fun to clown on the Thunder, Rockets, or Wizards as it is to dunk on the Lakers. Trashing the Lake Show is, for most Americans, a solemn duty, and Russell Westbrook sucking in 2022 wasn't new. It was just new for most casuals. He dresses outlandishly, he shows unwarranted bravado on the court, and he can't handle vanilla insults like Westbrook. Had he just ignored the noise, it probably would have died down, but he actually poured gasoline onto the flames and made things harder on himself. So where does he go from here? Maybe the hardest thing an athlete can do is admit he has lost what he once had and take a step back and accept a lesser role. Either that happens or he's banished to the shadow realm. But until then, let's either celebrate his accomplishment or let's all have a good laugh.
Gives it up. Westbrook in the corner, airmail.
Reeves got an issue now. With two, with one. That's an impossible shot that hit.
We're going to post up against Vincent. Turns.
Starting your own business or becoming a content creator is one of the hardest things you can do. But do you know what isn't hard? Setting up your own website. That's where Squarespace comes in, the easiest and most practical way for you and me to build a website. I love how it gives me the options that I thought were hard to set up. Things like an online store, membership areas, and seamless integration of my social media accounts. It's all in one place and easy to manage. Plus, for all those who like numbers, they give you built-in analytics so you can track your success. So after this video, head on over to squarespace.com/5pointsvids and get a free trial and 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Again, that's squarespace.com/5pointsvids from the link below and get 10% off your first website or domain purchase. Squarespace.com.